So we are going into measurements. We're going to first look at the customary conversions, which is what we use here in the United States, okay? So we're talking about inches, feet, yards, and miles. That is the customary lengths. We're going to talk about the customary capacities, ounces, cups, pints, quarts, and gallons. And then customary weight, which is ounces, pounds, and tons, okay? So what I want you to do with this sheet of paper is I want you to first just fold it so that you have just the lengths like that. That way you have a nice fold and you can cut that. We're going to cut it just like this. Okay, so there is our customary lengths. We're going to move that to the side. And then here, I want you to, again, fold that, and they're not all going to be the same. Fold that so that you can just cut off the customary capacities. And then cut that neatly. And I know it's going to cut some of that scale, but that's okay. Okay. And then we are left with customary weights, which has our scale. I'm going to cut mine and cut that kind of the circles off of it just because I don't like them. So I'm going to cut mine a little cleaner so it looks like that right there. And same thing to my capacities, like what I can put liquid or different things in, like that. And then the same thing for my customary lengths. So it looks like that right there. All right, so now that I have that all nice and clean, I am going to go into the notes section of my notebook. So first I'm going to label, and I am going into the customary system of measurement. So customary system of measure. You'll be doing this on 2/1/18, and it's going to go in the notes section. So just whatever page you have next, I'm going to first look at length, and I'm going to turn my book sideways. I want you to glue that down. And then I want us to just talk about what things do we measure that might be an inch long. So let's just talk about that. So under inches, I'm going to write inches. We might measure a paper clip, right? We might measure, what else? What else would we measure in inches? What else would be inches long? So many inches long. Okay. We could measure, think what we would measure, paper clip. What else? Something that's short. What about our feet? No, that's not a good one. What else? What is about an inch? You know what's cool? Do you know that this right here on your finger, this is about an inch long? Okay, so your finger. And think of some of your own. Just what other things do you think that we measure in inches? Do we measure, what else? So anything small, right? I would probably measure my scissors that I'm using right here with inches on a ruler. I might measure my pencil. Okay, so an inch, just so we're clear, is from that end of the silver to that right there, or from 1 to 2, right? That little space between my fingers is 1 inch. On a ruler, you're going from this hashtag, right, to this one, 1 inch. This side of the ruler, inches, okay? Let's think of a foot or feet. Guys, one ruler, let me take it like that so you can see it. One ruler is 12 inches. If I can get that whole ruler in there. One ruler, 12 inches, that's 1 foot. One. So a small ruler equals 1 foot. So think about that. You would have, if these were little inches inside of those, you would have 12. That equals 12 inches. Okay, so one ruler equals 1 foot. What might we measure with yards? Guys, a football field. Think of a football field. A football field so on this paper clip, I want you to think, I want to erase these actually. I want you to think a small paper clip is about 1 inch, or the length of that part of your finger, right? So think about this. Let's take this little measuring. So when I fold my finger, that's about 1 inch, right? Well, my nail to my fold is about 1 inch too, so that's really small. The length of the bend of your finger. I like the paperclip one. So I can draw a paperclip. Little paperclip. Okay. Yards. Yards. Did you know that a football field equals 100 yards? 100 of them. So on a football field, when you're seeing those marks that they're running yards, okay? We also have yardsticks in the classroom, and I can show you those. Also, let's think about a mile, okay? A mile. Think about the track. The track at the football field. That equals 1/4 of a mile. Oh my goodness, what does that mean? What that means is you have 4 times around equals 1 mile. Okay? So that's just trying to help you visualize those. All right, so you're going to glue that in. Go to the next one for me. So turn your paper, and I want to go to capacity. Capacity is how much we can put inside something, okay? So if I have a cup or a bowl or a box or whatever, how much it will hold. Okay, so we're going to glue that right there. Let's think of an ounce. to hold an ounce, okay, an ounce, let me just tell you that this glue bottle right here, the little glue bottle, it holds 4 ounces of glue. A soda that you drink, a soda holds 8 ounces. So think small. So if you take, to know that 8 ounces equals 1 cup, okay? So a soda can has 12 ounces. I don't know what I just said. And this glue bottle has 4. If I poured all this glue out, it'd be 4 ounces of glue, okay? So an ounce is, if I took a cup and I split it into 8ths, this right here would represent 1 ounce. Okay, so that's just very little, isn't it? Okay, so glue bottle, small glue bottle equals 4 ounces, just to make it real to you. Okay, a cup, this right here, that's going to hold a cup of whatever, cup of water, cup of rice, cup of whatever. Okay, so 1 cup. And again, we represented our cup right here. So 1 cup. Again, 1 cup equals 8 ounces. You normally have, a cup of rice or a cup of whatever. Okay, so 1 cup there. So if a cup is 8 ounces and we know a soda can is 12, it's less than a soda, isn't it? Okay, so 1 cup. All right, our next item is going to be a pint. And when I think of a pint, I think of those, the pints of ice cream. So 1 pint, that equals 2 of these cups. So those little pints of ice cream you can buy has 2 cups of ice cream in it. Pint, I think, one small container of ice cream. Mine would be Rocky Road. What would yours be? So has the little rim. So I'm going to say Bluebell. That would be my 1 pint. Okay, so it equals 2 cups. Okay, then we would have a quart. Well, I think of a quart. Here's what I know. I'm gonna come over. So we have ounces, cups, pints. Let's move over here to a gallon and let me explain something real quick, and then I'll come back to quart. I'm gonna show you a gallon of glue. I know, a gallon of glue. Woo, that's big. Okay. So your gallon of glue, right? It's 1 gallon. If I took this 1 gallon, if you notice, I've used quite a bit out of it. Okay, probably a third of it. But if I cut this into 4ths, if I marked this, let's do that. We are going to take that gallon of glue real quick just so that we can understand quarts. And I'm going to mark it in half. Let me find a marker real quick. So if I cut it in half, about right there, right? That whole gallon. And then I cut those in half. This represents about a quart. Okay. And you think of quart like when your parents buy oil, a quart of oil. So there are 4 quarts in this 1 gallon of glue. So I am going to draw that gallon of glue. And think of a gallon of milk. 1 gallon of milk. Okay, but I'm going to go ahead and draw my gallon of glue. If I can draw that. There's my little handle. Okay. And so a quart so 4 quarts equals 1 gallon. So if I marked this again into fourths, this section down here would be 1 quart. You can also buy a quart of milk. Okay, so a quart, I'm going to draw what I think a quart might look like. I'm going to make my bluebell, by the way, a little bit smaller. Well, no. So my quart, I'm making it skinny because my gallon's kind of fat, right? And again, there's 4 of these inside of that. Okay, so just visualizing what it might be. All right. Let's go to our last one, which is customary weight. When a baby is born, I want you to think of ounces. We normally say, oh, they weigh 5 pounds and 8 ounces. Okay, so ounces is very, very light. If I weighed this marker, it would be ounces. If I weighed this bottle of glue, it would weigh ounces. So very, very light. So an ounce, I want you to think a small eraser, if I weighed that. If I, 1 slice of bread, we're talking about weight. Those are all ounces, okay? Pounds. Okay? I'm going to say Miss Webster weighs pounds. So we normally weigh humans. We weigh you on a scale, right? We step on the scale at home, and it tells us how many pounds we weigh. So at the store, you weigh your fruit. So 1 bag of apples is normally going to weigh about 2 pounds. And we use LBS for pounds just because we always have, okay? All right. Tons. This is how we're going to weigh a truck. We're not going to, Miss Webster does not weigh a ton because a ton is 2,000 pounds, okay? So a truck. A hippo. These are big things, right? A horse. We would weigh them in tons. Horses do weigh a lot, okay? But things that we would weigh that weigh tons. We weigh people for pounds. All right, so glue that in. Then I want you to go, you have this sheet right here, and we are going to have to cut this and then fold it in to get it to fit correctly. So what you're going to do is, and you are going to keep this tab on. Let me zoom out so you can see that a little better. Okay, you know me, I do not like papers hanging out of my notebook. So So I'm going to tell you we're going to have to cut to make this fit. So on this large paper that you have right here, I want you to cut to the point where you have the C right here. And then I want you to go ahead and cut, even though you're cutting measurements off, we have it everywhere else. I want you to cut that in just like that. That way it will fit into your notebook, okay? Okay, so I'm also going to, again, make sure that mine fits perfectly on my book. So I'm going to cut it on this side of the paper to right around the 1 cup mark. So it's okay that I'm cutting off customary measurements. It's in the middle flap. We know that we're talking about customary. I just want the foldable to fit nicely in my notebook. So you then have a half a sheet of paper like this. You need to make sure, I haven't glued that in yet. You need to make sure that it is on your paper at the very corner, but correctly. So I would glue it in. Kind of on the edge here, so that this one is going to go over top of it. And make sure that you have length with the length flat, okay? And I know that this foldable, so I'm going to bump that up so that it fits again. And then I am actually going to glue, so this flap right here, I'm going to fold this down. I am not gluing this. I'm gluing this, okay? I'm going to fold that over and just put glue on the back of this fold. Fold that back down. So that looks like this. So when you lift that up, it tells you it's customary measurements foldable. You can put your name again. And I would put customary measurements across there. Then what I'm going to do is, remember, we didn't glue this. I'm going to fold this perfectly up. And I'm going to cut my little dotted lines. It's not going to be perfect. You're going to see some of the other ones, but that's all right. So capacity, lift it up, and you will see the capacity measurements that we're going to do. Weight, flip it open, and you have your weight. And then length, flip it open, and you have your length. Okay? So now we're going to work this way. All right, so if you will open up your length door, 12 feet equals how many inches? 12 feet equals how many inches? Well, 1 foot equals 12 inches. So I have to think, if I go back to this over here, let me show you, just because I haven't glued mine in yet. If I look at this, what do I have to do? If I have feet and I'm going to inches, I've got to multiply by 12. So take the question that they're asking you. 12 feet. I'm going to inches. Inches is my question. So from feet, 12 feet times 12 will give me the answer. 12 times 12 is 144 inches. 18 feet. So now I'm going from feet to yards. So to go to feet to yards, I've got to divide by 3. So 18 divided by 3 is going to give me 6 yards. Because if I got 6 yards and I times by 3, it's going to give me how many feet it is, right? So 6 times 3 equals the 18. Miles. 3 miles is how many feet? Well, I know my miles, and I'm going to feet. I'm going over here, right? How many feet would that be? Well, first I've got to get it to yards. So I've got to take miles and times it by 1,760. Then I've got to times that answer times 3 to get my feet. So let's do that. And I'm going to do that right over here on that this scratch paper, this side of the paper that I have. So 3 miles equals, well, I know right here it tells me 1,760 yards. Oh no, sorry, 1 mile equals 1,760 yards. So to find out 3 miles, I have got to multiply them. Okay, so I'm going to do 1,760 times 3. It's 0, 18, 21, 22, 3, 4, 5. So I get 5,280. That's not my answer because now I've got to do what? This was yards. From yards to feet, I've got to multiply by 3 again. So I'm going to take that. So times 3, 0, 3 times 8, 24, 6, 7, 8, and then 15. So 15,840 because the yards, and then I had to multiply. So this gave me the yards, and I had to multiply to get the feet. Okay, so 15,840. Now I have yards, and I want to go to miles. Well, if I have yards and I'm going to miles, I've got to what? I've got to divide. So I'm going to take my 5,280 yards and divide it by miles. So the 1,760, because this is 1 mile. Okay, so doesn't go, doesn't go, doesn't go. We'll go how many? Let me try 3. 3 times 0 is 0. 3 times 6 is 18. Carry the 1. 3 times 7 is 21. Plus 1 is 22. Carry the 2. 3 times 1 is 3. Plus 2 is 5. Oh, it's equal. So I get 3 miles. So this that you glued into the other side of your notebook is a great way to know. Going from inches to feet, I'm going to divide by 12. Going from feet to inches, I'm going to multiply by 12. Feet to yards, divide by 3. Yards to feet, multiply by 3. Yards to miles, divide. Miles to yards, multiply. Okay. Let's look at the next one, weight. So I'm going to show you again that weight one. Scratch paper over here. So 24 pounds is how many ounces? Well, there's 16 ounces, if you're talking about weight, in 1 pound. So what am I going to do? So I've got pounds, and I need to know what the ounces is. I'm going to multiply by 16. So I'm going to come right over here. 24 times 16. 24, 12, 13, 14. Move over 4 and 2. 4, 8, 3. So 384 ounces. 5,000 pounds. I'm going to pounds to tons. So I have got to divide. Okay. So pounds to tons, I'm going to divide by 2,000. So I'm going to take 5,000. Divide it by 2,000. Okay. Doesn't go, doesn't go, doesn't go. It'll go 2. Gives me 4,000. Gives me 0. 0, 0, 1. Okay. So if I add a decimal and bring down another 0, it'll go into it 5. Gives me 10,000. 0. So 2.5. Okay. So 2.5 tons. And remember, sometimes you got to add that decimals, keep going. So tons to ounces. Oh, that's big, isn't it? So I've got to go to tons. I've got to multiply by 2,000. Then I got to multiply by 16. I got to get all the way over there. Okay, so I'm going to start with the 7 tons times 2,000. Well, we know that 2 times 7 is 14. I can add the 0. So I already know that 2,000 times 7 is going to give me 14,000. So I'm going to come right over here and give myself 14,000. I already did that first step. That was an easy math problem. Now I've got to multiply that by 16. So now I'm going to take that 14,000 that I already got because I did 7 times 2,000. And so I got it to pounds. Now I got to get it to ounces. And I'm going to multiply that by 16. So 0, 0, 0, 24, carry the 2, 6, 7, 8. Move over. 0, 0, 0, 4, and 1. 0, 0, 0, 4, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 2. So, comma, after 1, 2, 3. So 224,000. Okay. So again, all you're doing is you're following how you get. I've got to get from tons to ounces. That means I've got to do both of these steps. Okay. And I'll show you this on the math chart that they're going to give you for STAR later. All right. So let's flip this now to quarts, capacity. Look at these. So I'm going from quarts, I know them, and I'm going to gallons. So I've got to multiply by 4. Well, 8 times 4 is what? Am I multiplying? Am I going to multiply to get that way? No. Is my arrow going that way? No, I've got to divide by 4. So 8 divided by 4 would give me 2 gallons. All right, let's say I have ounces. I have 512 ounces, and I've got to get them to gallons all the way over. So I've got to follow my arrows. So I've got to divide by 8, divide by 2, divide by 2, divide by 4. Well, what's an easier way that I might do that? So I'm going to do that. I'm going to take that 512. I'm dividing by 8. Doesn't go. 8, we're going to 51. How many times? Well, probably what? 6. 6 times 8 is 48. I subtract. Gives me 3. Bring down the 2. 8 will go into 32. 4 times. 4 times 8 is 32. Leaves me with 0. So now I have 64. So I've gotten to cups. Now I've got to divide to get to pints. So I'm going to take 64. What's half of 64? Well, we know that's 32. We don't have to divide that. So I get 32. Now I've got to pints. Now I've got to divide by 2 again to get that to quarts. So 1 gives me 2, leaves me 1, bring down the 2. 2 goes into 12. 6 times 2 is 12, gives me 0. So now I have 16. I'm going to take that 16 and get it to gallons. I've got to divide by 4. Well, 16 divided by 4, we know is 4. Because 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, so you've got to do each step. Ounces, I have ounces, so go to ounces, and I'm going to go to pints. So to go this way, I'm going to first divide by, then I'm going to divide by to get it there. Okay, so I'm going to start with 32 ounces, divide by 8, gives me 4. So now I have 4 cups, divide that by 2. Well, 4 divided by 2 is going to give me 2. All right, I'm at quarts, and I want to get to cups. So I got to go this way. So that means I'm going to multiply by 2, multiply by 2. Well, I do 5 quarts times 2. It's going to give me 10. And then I'm going to, so that got me to pints, and I'm going to multiply by 2 again. And that is going to give me 20 cups. So all you're having to do is figure out where you start. You're starting at the one that gave you an answer. Gave you a number. And then you've got to jump to the square by doing each trick. Okay? All right. Make sure you have glued in all of your items. Then you can fold that back down.